weekend. Jeff, thanks for jumping off, putting a shirt and collar on. I appreciate that touch.
Absolutely.
Got swim trunks on underneath the screen. It's, it's a
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was in the pool about 5 minutes ago, but that's why I was up late. It took a little longer to dry off than I anticipated. So I think this will be a pretty quick agenda. So it's pulling it up first. I assume we don't have any public here?
No comments.
No comments. Great. Let's see. I'm trouble finding the agenda. So I guess first item, Jeff, you want to give us an update on the?
Sure. Yeah, I can give you a brief update, and then Adam can kind of fill in anything that I missed. But we had our DDR meeting on the 29th of June. Andrea Boyle from the Office of Grants Administration, which is the new name of the state agency we're dealing with, was on for all of it, and then Kermit attended large portions. But overall, it went really well. A couple of takeaways: they encouraged us or the district to reach out to the grants side of the equation for any to the funding piece. So I know that was kind of a takeaway that we took, Adam and I took. So we'll look at that. And then we also talked a little bit about the idea of a space waiver and some of the potential reasons for this, whether it's the specialized program, the FASE classroom, geothermal system with heat pumps, and then the rooftop PV. All of this kind of requires a bit more floor plan area for mechanical equipment and things like that. So we're going to work with Adam and the district to kind of narrate that or draft up that space waiver request. Just as a summary, I was interested, Adam, we spoke earlier today. So I looked the allowable area based on 640 students with the 1% mechanical increase is about 81,105, and we're at 86,990. So we're better than what we thought we'd be or where we started. But I think any little bit helps. So that's why we're going to look at a space waiver. So that's yet to be drafted, but it was discussed at the DDR. So overall went really well. Some of the other activities that we're working on, we owe the town, planning and zoning and inland wetlands, formal response to comments. They're in draft form. I read them this morning. As far as they've took them so far, our civil engineers, the rest of that crew is going to be back on Wednesday. So I'll ask them to get those advanced a little further along, kind of fine tune them to make sure that they're appropriate and responses with a respectful tone. So I know you've been involved, Graham. So we'll make sure that we get that draft tidied up with Adam. And then the last few things that we'll be working on are obviously in the CD phase. We'll be circling back with Adam and scheduling any follow-up meetings. I know Justin's been intimately involved, but if there's more, making double checking with the various different stakeholders on things like access control, door hardware, security, those kinds of things. We're gonna kind of button up all the loose ends. And then the last couple I had were Tim from our office issued an Enscape executable file. It's a file. It's a large file, so hopefully it didn't crash your computers, but it'll take some time. I did it tonight on my home laptop. And it's basically a white model. So if you get some time, it'll load, and then you can kind of walk around the outside of the white model. We may need to give you a second one for the interior because the interior is a little bit dark to see everything. So, and then lastly, I know Justin and Antonia gave a rather lengthy presentation last time. So the design revisions to the canopy, we're still working on integrating that and the style, so it's consistent throughout the building, and then address any of the concerns that were mentioned at the last meeting relative to the proportions and colors on the east and north facade. So all is good. The big takeaway was the DDR meeting, which went really well. So, and Adam, if I miss anything, you can fill it in on your report. Happy to answer any questions.
Jeff, you probably may have seen the email, but I'm unable to load the program, not for any operational issues, but because I use an ARM64 Windows machine, and the drivers, I had to manually download and add Visual C and all that stuff, but it still won't load. And my
Okay.
guess is that the executable, even though it starts to load, has some sort of an issue with an ARM64. So I wonder if Enscape could be queried to see what I have to do, if anything, to get it
Sure.
live. Both of my
Yeah.
machines are ARM64.
Okay. Let me, I did see that email. Let me send that over to Enscape. I can see if we can do it through a different export. And if not, we could always set up a screen share, and we can walk you through. Ideally, I'd like to get it working because it's kind of neat to.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to bother you every time I want to look at it. So
Understood.
yeah, I think the issue is the ARM64, and it's up and coming, and it's the processors that a lot of people are using now. So it's something they may have some idea about.
Okay.
I would hope.
I'll send that in to their tech support and see if I can get you an answer.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
On that note, I'll add a couple little blurbs on some of the items that Jeff talked about, but has anyone else tried downloading or running the model?
Just did about 20 minutes ago, and it says it's still downloading. Does it take that long?
It's a bigger file. So depending on if the servers are also taking
Like
a holiday
35
break
minutes
off,
maybe.
it might take a moment to download and install.
Okay.
It's about 400 meg. It took me home computer probably about 10 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
to get-
so I started like at quarter after, thinking that was enough time. Sorry, I was like last minute here. Oops, maybe I'm getting caught.
It's
But,
downloaded from the Collier server. I don't know if my IT crew at the mothership is trying to do some server upgrades or things over the holiday weekend, so that might be bogging down the download speeds. If you're still having trouble downloading, after today, let me know, and I can try another way to send it.
Okay, I'm all for doing a share screen walkthrough at some point, just to be able to see it if I can't make it work. So I tried it on both my laptop and my home. So, and it's like on my laptop, it only comes up like through what is this? What's the Microsoft browser called? I hate it. I don't use it, but that's what it won't let me do it on Google. So I don't know how to, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a computer person. I know how to use my program like a car. I drive it. That's it. I don't understand how it works. So I may need some assistance.
You can and see if you can get it, to download and install it. If not, let me know.
Okay, I'll bug you, Adam. Lucky you.
But to Woody's point, I thought this was a useful way to be able to, if you're thinking about something, you're looking at the CD set and you just wanted to have that sort of 3D visual, kind of screen share what it looks like so the group knows. But yeah, you just the instructions are here at the bottom, and you just kind of move through the model and move up and down, and you can go inside as Jeff was alluding to. And you can see all the rooms and things like that. So it'd be pretty useful for screen shares are good, and we can do that if need be. But sometimes you're looking at stuff and there's not a screen share handy, so it's good to be able to reference back to it.
Yeah, okay. I see Nick has joined us.
Yeah, sorry for being late, guys.
No problem. I thought you were on vacation, so I'm thanks for showing up. I thought you were unable to attend, so we were. But
No, it's all good.
good, beautiful. Any update? I know you're still working on the.
Yeah, so talking with our purchasing folks, I think we're good to go on putting any concerns we had about putting the switch gear generator and DOAS units out to bid early in the public procurement process that has to be followed and all that stuff. I think we're maybe a little bit more concerned than we should have been, which I guess is fine since we made sure to research it fully, but from our perspective, we're good to go with putting those items out to bid and just crafting the language such that the subsequent bidders that bid the installation are that it's, abundantly clear that they have to inherit this equipment, the warranties, and the installation as well. So should be good to go on that front.
Excellent. Any recent word on how backed up switchgear is these days?
It's tough to say because they've all been lying. They've been doing it now for about a year and a half where, they're trying to fill orders, right? So
Yeah.
if they tell, whatever electrician or they tell us, well, it's 18 months, then we just go to a different vendor, right? So
Right, exactly.
they're all playing that game. I will say that we still have a couple of other projects in New England and around the country where we've got some folks that are pretty high up at Gilbane chasing down some better ship dates from Eaton, Square D, and from GE or ABB, same company. So it's still not great. It looks like it's about 12 to 13 months right now. But again, that's based on some of the information we're getting now, compared to the information we got before, compared to the actual lead times when stuff was showing up, it has shown up in the last 4 to 6 months. So you put all of that together and it looks like it's about 12 or 13 months. So if it stretches out an extra month or two from there, or a couple months from there, if we're buying it early, we should still be in good shape.
That was the other item I was going to add, was just the emphasis on the phase one package at the DDR meeting, and getting that aligned with the state. They're much more familiar and I don't want to say comfortable, but they've done a lot recently with some of the procurement issues. So they were on board with the general concept of the phase one package and early procurement. It's just a matter of putting the package together, getting some early coordination with them and some of the sign-offs with the town. There's some forms that need to get signed off through the OSCGR process, or formerly OSCGR process. So that was a good part of that meeting. So again, just lots of back-end documentation and buttoning things up as we head into the end of July for trying to get the packages together for the MEP systems.
Beautiful. With that, any questions for Nick? With that, I guess we can turn it over to Adam for the OPM update.
Really, the only other thing I would add besides the white model crashing my computer there for a second, sorry about that, was on some of the updates of what we're doing besides the packaging. As Jeff alluded to, there's a lot of meetings we need to set up with sort of to finalize some of the scope development and getting into the last nitty-gritty details before the bid packages are finalized. To a lesser extent, the early procurement package, which is largely just equipment, to the main package at the end of August. So things like lighting controls and controlled integrations, things like the making sure that the superintendent and relevant security staff understand all how the various bits and pieces and components of the state requirements are being met with the design. So a lot of not quite box checking, but ensuring that we're all in alignment on the same page before the docs are finalized, stamped, sealed, signed, and delivered, and go out to bid. So we have weekly team meetings with Jeff and his team and Nick and myself to set up these, what's next, what's coming down the pipeline, and what we need what obstacles we need to eliminate. So the last home stretch set of meetings and procurements and things like that are then ironed out in the next week or two.
Beautiful. I know we have an item, a sub item here, the potential vote to proceed to CD phase. I skipped over the approval of minutes. I don't know if we want to clean up some paperwork. Does anyone want to make a motion before we make the next motion? So we
I'll
can
make the motion about the minutes.
I'll second it.
All
And I
in
just want
favor?
to thank Raquel for cleaning up my description of the green. Thank you.
Adam.
All right,
All-
approved, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, great. Moving to 4A. Potential vote to proceed to CD phase. Adam, maybe just give us a little update on
Yeah,
where it
so.
stands or what your recommendation is.
Yeah, so the DD phase, the DD drawings, were initially issued a while back, and there were some updates to align some of the scope and make sure we had enough documentation from the various subs on the design side to be able to work with Nick and his team in terms of the model coordination. So there were a few remaining items that weren't quite there at the last meeting, but the mechanical team stepped up and got a lot of things done. So now it's at a state where it's appropriate to move on to the CD phase. And again, we've said it a couple of times, Jeff and his team didn't just stop working. They've been going through and getting through CD details and things this entire time. It's just a function of making sure that it was at a point where we formally move on to the next step. So we're there now. And so that's where that motion has been drafted. It's a bit of a lengthy one, so I can flash it on the screen, but also if there's any other questions.
I have a question. Will we still be able to critique and tweak canopies once we get into CDs? Okay, I just wanted to see the nod on the head to make sure I'm not buying what we got. I want to see it first. Sorry.
They need our okay to go to bid still. So
Yes, and there will
I
be.
know, but I don't want to.
yeah, no, I understand. No. It's an iterative process. So, would anyone like to Adam, if you want to pull that on your screen, if someone wants to volunteer to
Yes, hopefully my screen share won't crash this
Yeah.
time.
maybe zoom in a little more, if you can zoom a little closer for the. Anyone want to make this monumental, before you spend $1 million here?
I'll make it.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve proceeding to the construction document phase based on the updated design development documents dated 5/12/23 and updated coordination model updates the week of 6/26/23. This approval is made with the understanding that, number one, document modifications for accepted and alternate value engineering and value management scope items as shown on the design development value engineering and value management log dated 5/15/23 will be incorporated prior to the issuance of 100% CD drawings. Number two, the Board of Selectmen has allocated additional funds to the project to remediate the current construction budget deficit. And number three, the approval is made contingent upon BOE approval for moving education specification scope to bid alternates as listed on the value engineering and value management log dated 5/15/23.
Make sure you get paid by the word next time, George.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent job, George. I don't know, do we want to have a discussion or do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? I think we're good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The unanimous, another milestone. Moving on to number 5, public comment. I assume we have no.
That's
comment?
correct. No comments.
Beautiful. In remarks, just want to update everyone on where we stand with the extra money. If you didn't see the Board of Ed meeting the other night, so the Board of Ed voted to move the 3.5, give or take, $1 million over from one project to the other. So that was accepted. That's done. And then they voted to move the $2.4 million forward to a public hearing for a town vote. The Board of Finance, a couple nights ago, voted 4-2 to move it to a vote. There was some question in some people's minds about moving that forward from some of the Board of Finance members, but it prevailed 4-2. So now there's a town vote, I believe, on the 26th, which by charter, we need, if 150 people don't show up, it passes automatically. So I don't know if there's going to be any organized opposition, but we may want to be standing outside the room, outside the polling place on the 26th, but more more to come on that. So I'm optimistic it's gonna pass, hopefully by default. The last few times there were not many people in the room. I think Bill and I were the only ones the last time we had to do this. But you never know. So we'll have to keep a close eye on it, but it appears we have our $5.9 million that we needed. That does not cover any of the bid alternates at this time, so they're not in. So as the motion mentioned, we may need to go back to the Board of Ed to get those moved back, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So other than that, I think we're in good shape. We just got to make check that last box to get the 2.4 million officially moved over. But I don't see much opposition. And as everyone knows, we have $6 million extra in reimbursement, and we have probably close to $3 million in future reimbursement, 2.5 to 3 billion coming back from the IRA. So we're way ahead of budget, but we just can't use that to offset the money officially that was approved in the referendum. So it's one of the crazy things that we have, but we're continuing to pursue the IRA, and the $6 million is pretty well locked up. And thanks Adam and his team and our state reps for locking that down. So that any other remarks, comments? Okay, with that, would anyone like to make an adjournment to enjoy the rest of the 4th of July holiday?
I'll do that. Adam, stay on though. I want to ask you a question.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Second? What do you beat, George? All in favor?
Bye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, everybody. Enjoy your
Happy
holiday.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.
Adam, on my computer, it said something about Collier's not knowing my password to download this thing. It was weird. I just made I'm on my laptop.
Raquel, you want to stop the recording just for the purposes of.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes,
It's
sorry.
computer stuff. Sorry. I should have
Yeah,
made.
that's fine. And Adam, I made you the host, so you should be all set too.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Raquel. Have a nice
Bye.
holiday.
You too.
It says pick an account. It says selected user account does not exist in tenant Collier's Engineering and Design and cannot access application 08 whatever. In the tenant account needed to add the external user in the tenant first. Please use different account. So do I need to give you this? It's a different email address that's that's for my Microsoft account? Or does that matter? I mean,
I'm checking now. It shouldn't matter because when I set these up, I set it so that anyone with the link can view is the way I've set the permissions because I don't know.
okay,
which
so
email
that's
address.
weird. Okay. Like I said, it keeps opening in Edge and I don't normally use Edge, so I don't understand. And that's a Microsoft shit thing. Sorry.
You're not
Let me
wrong.
tell you how I really feel.
Not wrong for a number of reasons. Let me